In this story that I have for you, this is like, imagine like rural up north Michigan, where you have power lines, the snow and ice is here. If your power line breaks, likely it might be pretty hard for the utility companies to get out here and actually repair it. This might cause like long delays, power outages, things like that. So this is the problem that we're dealing with. So this team working for this power utility company are like, okay, how can we prevent this? How can we sort of like dislodge this snow and ice from the power lines so that they don't break? One person on their team says bears. We should have bears climb up the power poles and they can knock the snow off of the ice, or knock the snow and ice off of the power lines. Wild idea, right? So rather than their teammates being like, that's a terrible idea, what on earth, like that's so dangerous, why would we have bears? They run with it and they say, okay, sure, if we have bears, how on earth are we going to get the bears to climb up the utility pole? Honey. Bears like honey. So we put honey on the top of the pole, the bears climb up the pole, and then they knock down the snow and ice. Voila. Okay, but how do we get the honey up there? Helicopter. The helicopter brings in the honey, because again, right, the whole problem was that it's hard for like cars to come in like rural up north Michigan to like do this work. They're trying to prevent this, the break-in from happening. So they're like, okay, maybe we have a helicopter that comes in. Then they realize they're not like smart, and they're like, okay, wait, we don't need the stupid bear of honey. If we have a helicopter, the way that helicopters work, when the blades spin, it has like the downward force of the air that comes down. So if the helicopters fly low enough over the power lines, it knocks the snow and ice off. And this is actually like what they do. It's called like rotor walk or something, where it like knocks down the snow and ice off of the power lines. So the point that I'm highlighting here is that yes, the like bears and honey is a silly, wild idea, right? Like, yes, we're not going to have bears. But the point of this is that by running with it and sort of like embracing with that and saying like, okay, yeah, sure, what if we did that? It helps you come up with these ideas that actually are really great. Any questions on that? Cool. Yeah. So another quote: "It's much easier to tame a wild idea than invigorate one that has no life in the first place." So yeah, it's essentially the idea that if we go really wild and crazy, we can always bring it back in. But if we don't really think outside the box and aren't really like pushing our boundaries, we're not going to come up with like an innovative solution. Yeah.
Why is he the father of brainstorming?
That's a good question. Yes, he is.
Pretty bold claim to make.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not. Do you know where that comes from? I don't.
I don't know
Maybe
Osborne's work.
Yeah.
So
Somebody foundational into literature.
yeah.
I would say. Yep. That's it. Okay. So these are all sort of the guidelines for ideation. So no matter what strategy you're using to do ideation, which we can go through in a few minutes, you want to break all these rules. Alright. So
Lauren has showed the structured kind of process of the ideation process, but I'm just going to break it down a little bit more. So, like Lauren mentioned, we're going to start with a challenge. We begin with the how might we statement. The goal of the how might we is to try and avoid coming up with some assumptions of what the solution will look like. So how might we come up with a solution for someone who is walking their dorm late at night, right? It's not saying how might we create some like light device, right? Like we're not adding in assumptions on what it should be. The second thing is to generate as many ideas as possible, right? So Lauren talked about the multiple and diverse ideas. That's what we're going to be doing right now. Okay, so this is our design challenge, and this is the design challenge for your class. The goal is to design a toy inspired by the science and or history of fission. Okay, so how might we design a toy that's inspired by fission? Okay, you're going to be working as teams to try and come up with some ideas. But the first thing that we're going to be doing is an initial purge. So individually, you're going to come up with 10 to 15 ideas. It may seem like a lot, but just try and get done like whatever you can. Remember that they don't have to be fully fleshed out. It could be a half-baked idea. The second stage is sorting out all of the ideas that you came up with individually and kind of finding out, oh, I had something similar to that in mind. So you're gonna continue pushing in the ideation process and come up with even more. All right, so we're gonna do 5 minutes of the purge. We're gonna give you some sticky notes. So it's gonna be one idea per sticky note. I'm gonna let you know when we have 30 seconds left in this stage. And don't think about it too hard. Just add stuff. Just add stuff. Okay?
We don't have a ton of sticky notes either, so if you need more,
You're very uncreative.
yeah.
You
So maybe rather than attracting customers, it's catching a fish. And then you start coming up with solutions for that medical problem. So maybe you watch an expert. Maybe you use a net. Maybe you go spearfishing. These are all different ways that you might catch a fish. Then what you do is you take these solutions that you came up with for your metaphor problem and you translate them back to your original problem. So then you might say, okay, maybe rather than, so for translating watch an expert back to our initial attracting customers, maybe it's see how the competition does it. Maybe using a net, or maybe like using a certain type of bait for a fish, translates back to like what sort of messaging or what sort of marketing that you're using. Spearfishing translates to yeah, like look carefully selecting what type of customer you're going after and like marketing or like targeting that particular customer. Does this make sense? Cool. So there's a couple other ideation strategies in your packet. There's like a word association one, and Scamper is one that we use in design a lot. So what we're going to have you do now in your groups is pick one of these, so it can be any of the ones that are in your packet, and apply them to your ideas that you've come up with so far to help you branch out and think of more ideas. So again, like keep really trying to come up with more ideas. And maybe like 10 minutes.